Good morning. Welcome to today's meeting of the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs for the 2025 legislative session. If the Secretary could please call the roll.
Assembly members Carter, DeLong, De Silva, here. Edgeworth, present. Flanagan, here. Gallant, Goulding, Gurr, here. Hunt, here. Jackson, Karras, Kasama, Wynn. Here. Chair Considine.
I am here. If you would please record, hold on, take out my glasses for this one. Please record Assembly members Carter, Gallant, Goulding, Jackson, Karras, and Kasama present when they arrive. I want to welcome the audience here in Carson City, those joining by video conference in Las Vegas, and anyone listening over the internet. And as always, begin with some housekeeping measures. Please check and silence your electronic devices. If you are wishing to testify, please sign in at the table by the door and provide a business card to our committee secretary. When testifying, please turn on the microphone and clearly state your name and any affiliation for the record. If you are providing handouts, please make sure that hard copies are available for the public today. And we always expect courtesy and respect in our interactions during the meeting, even if we disagree with someone else's position. And today, committee members will be using their laptops to view handouts and other documents, so please do not interpret that as a sign of disrespect or inattention. Today, we will hear Senate Bill 467, which revises provisions relating to cybersecurity. And let's get started. I will now open the hearing on Senate Bill 467. To present this measure, we again have Tim Galluzzi, Chief Information Officer, and please go ahead when you are ready.
Good morning, Chair Considine, Vice Chair Nguyen, and members of the Assembly Government Affairs. For the record, my name is Timothy Galluzzi, State Chief Information Officer of the Chief Information Officer within the Office of the Governor. And thanks to this committee, that will soon be changing to the Governor's Technology Office. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Senate Bill 467, which is enabling legislation for a previously approved budgetary decision unit. This bill implements the transition of the Office of Cyber Defense Coordination from the Department of Public Safety to the Office of the Chief Information Officer, combining it with the Office of Information Security, creating the Office of Information Security and Cyber Defense. The vast majority of this language is a direct copy of the enabling legislation of the Office of Cyber Defense Coordination as it currently sits in NRS Chapter 480. The DPS chapter, as it has since its inception since 2017, with minor adjustments to fit within the organizational structure within the Office of the Chief Information Officer and to combine it with the existing Office of Information Security as it sits in NRS 242. Currently, the OIS, or Office of Information Security, is focused inwardly towards the executive branch, supporting our agency partners and providing enterprise services, where OCDC is externally focused, coordinating activities primarily with municipal entities, counties and cities, but also with some internal mission. As you can probably imagine, this has historically caused confusion and overlaps. This legislation solves that and creates one cohesive cybersecurity unit to enhance collaboration and communication within the executive branch and externally as cyber threats do not stop at our boundaries. I have discussed this bill with some stakeholders from our municipal entities, and I want to be very clear on the legislative record. There is no intent in Section 13, which discusses the requirement for this office to create a strategic plan, which is carryover language from Office of Cyber Defense Coordination that has existed since its inception to prescribe the investments that entities may make. The intent of this section is to publish a strategic plan that enables best practices, recommendations, and guidelines, not mandates. A very brief section by section for the committee. Sections 1, 15, and 16 handle the creation and public disclosure of cybersecurity incident response plans and reports. We want to ensure that very detailed cybersecurity information is not made public so our adversaries can't get their hands on them and further leverage them to state's harm. Sections 2, 3, 15 through 16, 26, and 27 actually moves the OCDC language to NRS Chapter 242 and into the Office of the Chief Information Officer. Section 17 merges the Office of Cyber Defense Coordination with the Office of Information Security. Sections 18 and 31 are in regard to the leadership of OIS-CD, or the Office of Information Security and Cyber Defense. Section 19 requires the CIO to adopt regulations to support the policy of the newly created OIS-CD. Section 35 repeals provisions of NRS regarding OCDC from NRS 480. And then sections 23 through 25 makes conforming changes to support the repealing of those provisions. I also want to briefly touch on section 12, as there has been conversations about similar functions that exist within a security operations center, which some of you may be familiar with previous conversations with a previous piece of legislation. When we talk about that enabling legislation within Section 12, this is really where a lot of that authority would derive from within a operational security operations center. So as I mentioned, that this is actually carryover language from the Office of Cyber Defense Coordination as it currently sits within the Department of Public Safety. We also have reporting policies and mandates for executive branch entities within that require entities to report to the Office of Information Security if they do suspect or confirm a security breach or an incident. They have to report that to our information security team within the executive branch, currently OIS. They are similar language as you see in Section 12 that requires, that asks the municipals to report if they have an incident to the Office of Cyber Defense Coordination. So that's what that section covers. That section also covers the creation of incident response teams to be able to actually help organizations if they do suffer a breach or an attack. This enables the newly created deputy director to go out and create a team within existing resources to be able to help the affected agency mitigate and respond to any such attack. Now, where we talk about the difference between what this language does and what a potential security operations center would do, security operations center is a standing team. This language talks about an ad hoc group that would be established in order to respond to an emergent situation. And so I think that's a major differentiator there. And with that, that covers a brief introduction of the bill, and I will stand for any questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Committee members, do we have any questions? I do have one question. This is kind of a little in the weeds. On page 19, and I was just pulling up my document on it, on sections 23, 24, there's some changes on the definitions of information system and security of information system, moving the definitions from NRS 480 to section 242, and then section 8 of this act. And I was just curious because I was looking at these, and they seem to be, at least one of them, identical. So I don't know the reason for the change. But then in information system, the definition in 242 is much broader. Sorry, I got my accent there for a second. Than information system in 480. And if this is not something you can answer right away, I completely understand it. But I was just wondering, I thought typically we wanted to have the same definitions for things across the NRS.
For the record, Timothy Galuzzi, what section are you referring to, Chair?
Thank you so much. So I'm on page 19, section 23. So we're moving the definition of information system from NRS 480 to NRS 242. And those two definitions are, the definition under NRS 242 is, has a much more, a lot more wording in it. It includes more things than the one in 480. So I just didn't know, so just if this helps at all. So the definition under 480, information system means any computer equipment, computer software, procedures, or technology used to communicate, collect, process, distribute, or store information. Under NRS 242, information system means any communications or computer equipment, software, firmware, procedures, personnel, or technology used to acquire, store, process, manage, use, maintain, display, distribute, dispose of, transmit, or retrieve data or information. I was just curious because typically, it's my understanding we want to have consistency across the NRS, and this one's much broader.
Thank you for pointing that out. Once again, Timothy Galuzzi for the record. I believe my preference would be for the broader definition in this case, so I'm not sure what we would do with the differing definitions here.
Thank you. No worries. I was just wondering if that was a change of for the definition. Hold on just a sec. Okay, so the reason why there is a difference is the other definition is being repealed. So thank you, and thank you. I appreciate that getting on the record. All right, committee members, are there any other questions? All right, seeing none, thank you for the presentation, and we will move on to testimony. Oh, hold on, stay there. We just have a last-minute question from Assembly Member Flanagan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the presentation. It's more for the record, just because we've heard a lot of bills on cybersecurity changes to the office. So I just want to make sure on the record, this is the final piece to the puzzle of all of the bills that have come before us to restructure the office, and just to make sure that's on the record.
Thank you for the question, Assembly Member. For the record, Timothy Galuzzi for this session, yes. For cybersecurity, it's continuously evolving, and I've got some remarks that I'm reserving for closing, but as technology continuously evolves, so does cybersecurity and what we need to do to defend the state. So for this session, this is the final piece for what we need today, or for right now, for this point in time. But for what we're trying to accomplish, this is what we need right now in order to bolster cyber defense for the executive branch with the available resources that we have.
All right, one more time, committee, do we have any questions? Okay, so thank you very much. We will move to testimony. And testimony can be provided here in person in Carson City via video conference in Las Vegas or over the phone, and further instructions for providing testimony on a bill can be found on the agenda. And we will begin here in Carson City in support of Senate Bill 467. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Randy Robison, Director of Government Affairs for the City of Las Vegas, here in enthusiastic and grateful support for this bill. We have had the opportunity to work with Mr. Galuzzi quite a bit over the last several months, and then over the last few weeks on this particular bill, and we appreciate him understanding our support, but also our concern. We appreciate the statement he just made on the record, clarifying in that section where they're developing a strategic plan with recommendations for all kinds of partners, that it's not a mandate, it's not vendor specific. It allows us to maintain the flexibility at the local level as well, and that's good for cybersecurity defense anyhow. To have a multitude of different vendors, I guess I'll say, helping to protect ourselves. And then quickly, in a previous role, I was in the private sector for about 10 years, Director of Government Affairs for a major telecom company with whose networks spanned across the globe, had a very top-tier cybersecurity operation. And so we were involved about a decade ago when we created, or the state created, Office of Defense Coordination. And at the time, across the country, C-suites, as well as states, the cybersecurity threat landscape was demanding that the conversation be raised to that level. Now, as Mr. Galuzzi said, the continuing evolution of cybersecurity threat sort of demands that we have this kind of coordination and what's the word I'm looking for? It's been disparate, now it's all together. Anyway, at the state level, because the way that cybersecurity is happening, threats are happening now, distributed attacks, nation-state actors, it's imperative that we're all working together to protect the state. They don't care how they get in, they just want to get in. Whether it's here, at home, locally, and when you've got a local, an iconic global brand and city like Las Vegas, they don't care. They'll find a way. And so the more that we can work together, the better we'll be able to protect ourselves. So thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one else approach the table in support of SB 467 here in Carson City, we'll move to Las Vegas. I'm not seeing anyone in Las Vegas, so AVH, is there anyone on the line in support of SB 467?
Chair, the line is open and working. We have no callers for support of SB 467.
Thank you. We will then move to testimony in opposition. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 467? Seeing no one and still seeing no one in Las Vegas, AVH, we're back to you for testimony in opposition of SB 467.
The line is open and working. We have no callers for opposition at this time.
Okay, we will move to neutral. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in neutral on the bill? Seeing no one approach and still seeing no one in Las Vegas, AVH, is there anyone on the line in neutral for SB 467?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in neutral of Senate Bill 467, please press *9 to take your place in the queue.
Hello, Assembly Committee. This is Will Adler. I was attempting to call in support of this bill, but as I'm in neutral, I hope you'll transmit my comments of support. I personally want to call in support of this bill because cybersecurity is the #1 issue facing small counties today and other exposed assets, because the new front is the cyber front, and the additional security assets that could be provided by the state would be much appreciated by Story County and as well as the rest of the state. So I want to call in support as a representative of Story County and NextNV incubator and think tank with UNR. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you, and we will move that testimony in support. AVH, is there anyone else on the line in neutral on the bill?
Thank you, Chair. We have no additional callers on the line.
Thank you. And would the sponsor like to come up to make any final remarks? Please go ahead when you are ready.
For the record, Timothy Galuzzi, State CIO. Thank you again, Chair and members, for your time, opportunity, and consideration of SB 467 and our other legislation this session. It's been a pleasure to work with you. We started this session talking about cybersecurity, and it's fitting that as we are rapidly nearing its end, we are continuing that conversation. Cybersecurity is constantly evolving. And I'm sure that when the Office of Cyber Defense Coordination was envisioned in 2017, if they saw the technology that was available today with the exponential advancements with artificial intelligence and robotic process automation, they would be both in awe of the amazing tools that we have available and terrified of what our adversaries have at their fingertips. We need to adapt and evolve with it. My cybersecurity mentor taught me that cybersecurity is a team sport. When we say that, we are not just talking about the technologists, the cyber warriors, and the end users. We are talking about all the stakeholders, to include the decision makers like you. There is always a next step. There's always more that can be done. I will make a commitment to you today that we will work with this body during the interim to continue to brainstorm what that next step looks like. You are a critical part of the team, and we cannot protect Nevada's infrastructure without your support on this bill and what comes next. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I will close the hearing on Senate Bill 467. And I do want to make a quick statement. In accordance with Rule 57-4 of the Assembly Standing Rules, Speaker Yeager has provided approval to take final action on bills heard today within 24 hours of the hearing. And with that, we will now open the work session on Senate Bill 467. Since we just heard the bill, we'll just go to members. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, I will now entertain a motion to do pass SB 467. I have a first from Vice Chair Nguyen and a second from Assemblymember Flanagan. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously, and I will assign the floor statement to Assemblymember DeLong. And with that, we will close the work session. We will now move on to our last thing on the agenda, which is public comment. Public comment is not an opportunity to rehear testimony on a bill, and we ask that you please keep your public comment to topics within the jurisdiction of this committee. As a reminder, members of the public can provide public comment in person or telephonically and may submit public comment up to 24 hours after the meeting. If you are calling in today for public comment, dial 669-900-6833. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, enter 830-2536-7398, and then press pound when prompted for a participant ID. Each person will have 2 minutes to provide testimony, and please remember to clearly state and spell your name for the record. Is there any public comment here in Carson City? Seeing none, still seeing no one in Las Vegas. AVH, is there anyone wishing to provide public comment on the phones today?
Chair, the line is open and working. We have no callers for public comment.
Thank you. We do not, our members, we do not have another meeting scheduled at this time, but if more business comes before the committee, we will be back to carry out the remainder of our work. However, if we are not called back into committee, I just want to say this has been a pleasure to be your chair, and you have all been amazing committee members and amazing staff, and I want to thank you every day for showing up prepared, and I really want to thank the staff, including Sarah and Alex and Holly and Nikki and Cheryl and everyone for making this look like seamless and easy when there's a lot going on in the background. So thank you. You've made this incredibly a great, wonderful experience for me. And everything that you've learned here, please take to your future terms as Assembly members and get better every term. That concludes our meeting for today. The meeting is adjourned.